Hi, everybody. We are back for our continuation of Mental Health Beyond May. And I am joined by one of our very awesome speakers from the first video. How are you, my love? You're coming all the way from the other side of the pond.
Yes, I'm on the other side of the pond in a place called Colorado.
Amazing. What time is it for you now?
It is 1:19 p.m.
Wow, it is for us 8:19.
Whoa.
The joy of time zones.
Yes.
I'm not going to keep you long because you've already been amazing in the first video, but I needed your help to introduce this video. We both know Ryan and he's amazing, and we're just going to hear shortly his story and some of his kind of journey that he's been through with his mental health. And as you know, it takes every person has different steps when they get to the comfortable point of talking about their mental health, and this episode is about talking about your story. Do you think it's easy for everyone to talk about their story?
I really think it depends on which stage of the journey you're at. Like I'm kind of at the ending stages of like doing the hard therapy work. And I'm like 90% comfortable of sharing my story because I'm almost at the end of it. But um and I've known what I've gone through, but like 3 years ago, I would not have been able to share my story because I was still going through the middle of it. I'm still on disability right now, and I'm trying to get off of it, but like it takes a lot to realize when you're at the end of your healing process. And 3 years ago, or I think 2 years ago, I went on a podcast and I thought I was at the end of my healing journey, but I still was experiencing a lot of anxiety day to day. I couldn't work. I was in a really kind of a bad place. But it really takes that awareness to know where you're at in the journey. And sometimes you don't know where you're at in the journey until you've been able to reflect and look back and say, whoa, I was there. Now I'm in a much more calm and peaceful place.
I love that. If you could look back at your journey, what would you say to that first stage you?
The first thing I would say to myself that I guess the first thing is to want to go through the journey, is to have that desire at the beginning to be able to go through the whole journey all the way. That's a lot of people like don't even have the awareness that they need to go on the journey because of what happened in their childhoods or some traumatic events or whatever it is. They don't even realize they need to go on the journey to heal themselves until something later on happens in their lives and they have a really big awakening, like a big change in consciousness, and they realize, oh, I need to change these things around about myself, or else I will not be able to hold down a job. My family won't want to be around me. Like I will lose all the people I love. Like that's
Those are heavy thoughts, yeah.
mm-hmm.
And like a lot of people find it so hard to even talk to a therapist, let alone sharing their story. The first time you spoke to a therapist, did you feel really intimidated or was it easy process for you?
I've had a lot of different therapists over the years. It's been a 12-year process. I've had like kind of talking to therapists, and it really depends because whatever level of consciousness you're at, you'll attract the teachers and the therapists that will help you at that level of consciousness. So you can't like jump from one level of consciousness to another without necessarily someone helping you along, or you're doing a lot of meditation or you're helping heal yourself somehow. But I found that having like a leader, which is your therapist or spiritual mentor, help you along the journey is what gets you there. And then when you reach that next level of consciousness, it seems like another teacher will be there to guide you. It's not like you'll be left alone. Like there'll be another person to help you along. So you're kind of well taken care of by the universe.
I love that. That's beautiful. And final two questions before I let you go. The theme for Mental Health Awareness Month this year was nature. Do you think that was a good theme? And what does nature mean to you?
I think nature is a good theme. It's interesting because I lived in Alaska for 3 years and I was surrounded by nature, but I like at that point I was in a really bad state mentally and spiritually and emotionally. So I guess even though nature was there, it wasn't like I didn't find it nourishing and helpful in everything. Like I mean now that I'm much more healed, yeah, I think nature definitely helps, but um there's a passage in Conversations with God in I think book 3, and but they cover in book 1 and 2 as well as like it's the be, do, have continuum. So you need to be happy first and you need to be calm first before you can, enjoy nature and everything. You can't be making like I thought that like once I'm making like $150,000 a year, I'll be happy and calm and successful. That's not how it works. You have to start with being calm and successful and then you start having the success and then you start doing all the actions. So it's really a continuum.
I love that. A continuum. That's what this campaign is, a continuum of the conversation. Yeah, 100%. And to finally, just before we switch over to Ryan's video, can you please tell everybody things that you find positive and helpful to help you with your mental health?
I think for me, things that I found helpful with my mental health is having a good spiritual mentor slash therapist that I see every week. I also have a psychiatrist that I see once. It used to be every other month. Now it's once every 3 months for medication management and as another support. And then having a fairly low stress work environment. I need to be able to progress to work in higher stress situations. And really having a supportive husband and supportive kids, supportive family, just helping us along. You need to have the community behind you to support you in order to heal all the way. You need the support.
Fantastic. And you know what? That last line of community support is the perfect way to end, because that is what the Mental Health Matters community is, a support system that we all come together, and the brain and the wonderful heart behind that is Ryan himself. And we're going to switch over to his video. And thank you so much for your support and for your energy. That's always really supportive to me. So thank you.
Thanks, Afra, for having me.
Yay. When you're ready, hit record and we'll start.
We're recording.
Okay, nice. Okay, so it is Mental Health Awareness Week. The whole month actually globally was like Mental Health Awareness Month. But do you think that's a thing? Like it's to kickstart us off, like that it should be a month or a week, or it's like every day kind of conversation?
365 days a year, we should be prioritizing our mental health. I know recognizing it as like, I guess you call it a holiday is important because it brings other people into the picture who may not have been so conscious of their mental health, but we definitely should be thinking about it every day.
Amazing. That was like a really good way to kind of kickstart the conversation. And now let's go backwards. Hello, Ryan. How are you?
I'm good, Aoife. How are you?
Very good. So, this recording is part of our mental health campaign, which is Mental Health Matters campaign, which will get a lot of people sharing their stories as well as what mental health means to them and answering a few questions as well, which we're going to go through with. But first, I just want the campaign listeners to get to know you a little bit because you play a huge part in these people coming together. So, just tell us a little bit about you and who are you?
Yeah. My name's Ryan Zadrazil, and I am incredibly passionate about mental health. I'd say I'm an advocate, but not only an advocate, but an activist for change. And professionally, I work for a company called Better Mind, which is a tech company that provides online therapy for college students. So not only in my personal life am I passionate about mental health, but professionally, I get to sell a product that definitely aligns with my values.
I love that. I love that. And I think like, people talk about having that job that gives you like going to bed, like being proud of your day and to be able to be part of a job where you are impacting the mental health well-being of people. And that's something so important. So I respect that. That's amazing. And so how did your kind of work and like your journey kind of start with mental health?
How far back do you want me to go?
Oh, I go crazy. Like I want to know. I want to know.
Yeah, so I was diagnosed with ADHD in grade school, elementary school, and there wasn't a whole lot of communication about my mental health and why I was taking medications. And just like I really remember like third grade, we had to talk about puberty, and there's something called the DARE program in the States here, which talks about drug and alcohol. Zero conversation about mental health. And I went to a public elementary school. I then switched to a private school, and that's where I really started having issues. I ended up getting hospitalized a number of times, and I didn't really know what was going on. I didn't know what was wrong with me, and I didn't know how to communicate what was wrong or not working properly in my head to my parents, to my psychiatrist, to the teachers at school. So I went on for about 4 years up till age 17, not really knowing what was the issue. But then I was diagnosed with type 1 bipolar disorder. And after that, I really ignored it. Like I just took my medicine and kind of moved on. And then I had a major hypomanic episode when I was 25, blew all my money, kind of really set myself back for a while. And then I had another one when I was 28, and then I finally realized, hey, like I need to take care of myself here. I need to build out a support network. I need to develop some coping mechanisms. I need to have a plan in case this happens again.
I like that. You're just like the realization starts to like come to you. But do you wish there was a point like in your younger years that do you think something could have been what could have been different for you to take action sooner?
I 100% think it has to do with going to public school and them not talking about mental health because I had no way. It's a little different now because kids have, their smartphones, the computer access. There's more information readily available. But when I was in grade school, there was none of that. So I was basically figuring it out for myself. And it would have been nice if I would have known, what was going on in my head and how to vocalize those thoughts in a way that I can share with people that I'm not feeling so well and I need help.
That's important. Do you think society also has changed, not just technology, but the way we look at mental health? Like when we were growing up, like the conversation of mental health wasn't as widely spoken as it is now. Do you think that's like changed over time? And that was another reason why it was harder to speak up back then?
So there's a lot of like awareness being raised about mental health, but something I don't see it like I myself am guilty of this to a certain extent. And that's why I started the group was there's not a lot of action being taken. Like making this video is important because people are going to hear my story and hopefully it impacts them and they feel comfortable sharing theirs. But at the end of the day, we need some sort of political action or just action in general besides just telling our stories. I think it's a really great start telling our stories, but we need something beyond that. And I'm still trying to figure out what that is. And I think this group is a good start because it unifies our voice and it's not like everyone's on the same page then.
I love that. And that is so true because like I think I was kind of stuck with what to call the campaign. Should I call it Mental Health Matters or Mental Health is Beyond a Hashtag? Because both of those things are so important. Like the fact that mental health matters is a conversation that needs to be had, but the everybody just kind of like just hashtags for a bit, puts up a quote, and then kind of thinks that's it. We've covered Mental Health Awareness Week, and then we move on next week onwards. No, that's not what mental health awareness is. It's actively doing something to ensure that awareness is happening, education is happening, and we're talking about this in a way that kind of, if there's people that are unsure of how to speak out or how to find comfort with, you know, their truth and what they're going with, that they feel safe to do so. And so I think that's one of the hopes that I have for this video, that people are listening and they're like, oh my God, so I can recognize myself in that young person that he's talking about, or the adults now that we are, and it's okay not to be okay, and I can actually talk to someone. And I think that's really important. And so I just wanted to kind of lead on to the group that we're both part of now, which is so incredible. What inspired you to kind of start it?
Yeah, I kind of hinted at it in the last answer. It was really just trying to bring everyone together. There's a lot of different messages being thrown around as far as mental health goes, but this gives us one place to like unify our voice and stand together in order to like bring change. So that was the whole logic behind it, not only raising awareness, but being a catalyst for the change as it's associated to mental health.
I love that. I love that. And that's really important. Do we have a name, by the way? Or are we just like the Mental Health Campaigner Squad?
Mental health matters seems to be like because there's Black Lives Matter and there's Stop Asian Hate, and I think keeping it simple and sweet to mental health matters is a great way to just express how we feel. Like it matters to everyone. Mental health, whether it impacts you directly or indirectly, should matter in everyone's life, because even if you don't have a mental illness, maybe a family member or a friend or just someone you love could possibly have a mental illness. So it's important to be cognizant of it and know what steps to take when there's like a crisis situation.
I love that. That's amazing. And what quick organization on top of your head can you recommend to a young person that's listening that doesn't really know where to actually reach out to, that you know of?
Yeah, NAMI is the big one here in the States, the National Alliance on Mental Illness. And they've just provided me with so much support, whether it be groups or we have something called a peer-run respite here in the Appleton, where you're able to go and stay with peers that have struggled with the same mental health issues and just really get support while you're having a hard time, maybe in your mental health journey.
Amazing. And we've talked about it already, kind of, but just to clarify, what does mental health mean to you in your understanding of the overall picture?
So for me, right now, I guess in my life, mental health means stability. And, you know, with bipolar disorder, there's a lot of mood swings and things like that, but I feel very stable right now, and I consistently feel stable. So that's what I would really define as my personal mental health, would be consistently feeling stable.
Amazing. And why do you think mental health awareness is important in the workplace and in the communities?
Everybody's intertwined, like especially in the community. You may have a friend that has a mental illness, but if you don't have the tools and the education to work through that situation, it's very challenging for all parties, because it's hard to see your friend that way, and it's probably hard for your friend to experience that. And the same thing goes for the workplace, knowing, you know, understanding what your coworkers are going through, because you're all fighting the same fight, whether it be in sales or marketing or whatever. It's important that you understand like how everybody's doing, and not just I'm doing good, but how are you really doing, and how is your day going, and how can I support you? And that applies to like any aspect or relationship in life, is you just want to be there for that person when they need you the most.
I love that, because a lot of organizations think just putting up posters with affirmations and like positive quotes and doing the occasional kind of like at a go, everybody, yay, is like the way to go. But no, like active kind of important actions taken and making a safe environment where people feel like if there is something not quite right, that they can speak about it, but also giving them that, because right now we're a lot lucky, a lot of us like working virtually, and the options we're seeing it now, like it's a lot more easier. So making that adaptability to kind of ensure that the person, whoever is going through something, is supported, but also in the positive aspects as well, making sure that everyone is kind of feeling like they're in a safe environment where they can feel like they're happy to be at work. On that note of positive, what does positive mental health look like to you?
So it kind of backtracks to my earlier answer about what mental health means to me, but just like having consistency and feeling comfortable in your own skin, I think are two really important things, because it's hard when your moods bounce around. Like one day you have a good day, one day you have a bad day. It becomes very difficult to manage. So consistently feeling well and being able to recognize when you don't feel well and knowing what you should do about it. And I think that was the big struggle in my childhood, was I didn't feel well, but I didn't know what to do. So that's where the education piece is so important.
Amazing. And do you know what it is? Like one thing that I respect about you is that you share your story in an empowering way. A lot of people feel very ashamed to even say their story, especially in a professional field, because they feel like they'll be judged. So why do you think it's important for us to share our story? And also, what would you say to someone who's feeling that sense of shame about their mental health journey?
So on LinkedIn, I was very nervous about sharing my journey for a long time. And then somebody told me, by not sharing my journey, I'm doing a disservice to everybody that needs to hear it and needs to hear that message. And no matter how many people are advocating and sharing their story, there's always going to be people out there that don't feel comfortable. And the more we share, I feel like the more it normalizes, the stigma and gets us closer to ending it.
Well, yeah, I think that's very true, because but it's hard to get there. But you know what? It's okay. Like it's not like you don't have to get there so quickly. It takes a journey, and the most important thing is you make that necessary steps to get started, and you surround yourself with the community of mental health activists and people who talk positively, so that you realize that it's okay. Because I feel like if you're in an environment where the idea of mental health is not talked about in a positive way, then you're going to feel like, oh, they're going to pity me, oh, my story is going to be like this, or I'm going to be judged, and you're going to be blocked from kind of sharing your story. So it's who you surround yourself with that has a massive impact in how you view your story. So yeah, that's one thing that's amazing about the community that you created. It's a space for professionals and activists and people to feel belong and to kind of network and communicate with each other and collaborate, which is awesome. And so just final questions now. How are you looking after your mental health? You're doing amazing things, but are you looking after yourself?
Yeah, I'll be honest, like there's times where I could probably do a better job as far as like checking social media, maybe too much, or not getting enough sleep, which I'm actually doing a pretty good job of right now, getting sleep. But I think it's all about finding a balance. So like one thing that's really helped me is scheduling self-care activities throughout the day, where I just drop my work, whether it be the check-in on Wednesday or it just be like a networking call, like doing something that breaks up my day and gives me a break. Because when you're at work and you're working from home, it's a completely different ball game as far as like your attention span, and you get hyper focused on something, and before you know it, it's been 2 hours and you haven't gotten out of the chair. So just being able to take time for yourself, or like myself, has been really important as far as working from home goes, and just prioritizing my mental health.
I love that. And also there's the mental health hangouts that happens on Clubhouse as well on Saturdays, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. So there's like a lot of opportunities if people are listening to this and they're curious about it. And kind of when you connect with Ryan and you find the group and things, like he will guide you through where all the check-ins and hangouts and things are. So yeah, it's gonna be amazing. And the final question, and this is kind of open, what would you say to the mental health community as a whole in terms of like the professionals and like the people and like anybody who's part of the campaign this week? What important message would you like to say to them?
So I'll keep it short because I think it's really important, and it would just be, it's time to talk. Like, we've been silent for a long time. I think there's a lot of good momentum going, especially through May, but don't end the conversation at the end of May. Keep talking, keep raising awareness, keep advocating and supporting others. Just continue the dialogue and don't stop.
I love that. And talking has to lead to action, because a lot of
Exactly.
people like to talk, but action needs to follow that talk. And if you would like to collaborate with us on the actions of how we're going for it, welcome aboard. It's going to be fine. We can do it. So yeah, Ryan, you're amazing. And after we end the recording, we'll catch up real quick. But for those of you who are watching this, thank you. And after we stop, there's going to be more people to that you can see in the clip. So listen. I hope you learn something. I hope you reflect and connect. And then after that, you check in yourself and make sure that you give yourself some self-care and reflection, and make sure that mental health is not just a conversation, that we're actually doing a lot of action, as Ryan said, and you keep talking. So take care, everybody.
See everybody.
Bye. Bye.